everyone. So now let's discuss the develop project management plan. So last process was the develop project charter, one of the most important process I would say about for the integration management. As I told you, lot of questions, approximately 10 questions in the project charter. So it speaks itself, the importance of that process. Next one is the develop project management plan. So as the name suggests, it's develop project management plan. So your primary output is the project management plan itself. When we discuss the develop project charter, our primary output was the project charter. But in this case, it's project management plan. And if you remember, I discussed this in the introduction, tricks and technique, the father-child relationship. This is like one of the, I would say, my favorite example of that father-child relationship, because our father is the project management plan and it has like around 18 to 19 subcomponents, or in short you can say 18 to 19 subplans. So basically what happens is that, and why I've developed this technique father-child relationship, is when they ask you a question in the exam, always try to make sure that you're picking the child instead of the father. So what do I mean by that is, let's say if somebody says how you will manage the scope, and one of the option is scope management plan and one of the option is project management plan. Always go for the scope management plan, always go for the child. Okay, similarly, this let's come back to our father, which is the develop project management plan, which is a planning process. This is the plan which guides the project execution and control and covering every aspect of the project. So basically this is like everything. For you, if you want to make sure your project is successful, if you want to make sure, if you want to know how your project would be guided, how your project would be executed, how it would be monitored, controlled, and even most importantly, how it will be closed, all of that information would actually be part of this project management plan. So let's see. It contains 18 to 19 subcomponents. We would be discussing these 18 to 19 subcomponents in a while. It's not a schedule. The project management plan is more than a schedule. So I will actually give you a real life example of what happened with me. It's been a long time. I was actually working, and my manager came to me and he told me that Varun, can you create a project management plan for me, a project plan for me? I said, why not? Sure. So based upon my learning from the PMP, I actually came up with this project management plan, like a detail, like, okay, this is what we are doing, how we will be doing in scope, this is how we'll manage the budget, this is how we will manage the time, and like it was all about very detailed, and it covered actually all these 10, 11 knowledge areas. But when I showed it to him and he said that, this is not, you gave me such a detailed document, I just wanted to know what are your tasks, what are your activities, what you will do. I just need the project schedule. So again, it's a misconception. It's much more than the project schedule. So if your manager comes to you and asks, can you create the project plan? Ask them, are you referring to project management plan or are you referring to the project schedule? Because project management plan is much more than the project schedule. Integration, it integrates and consolidates all of the subsidiary managed plans and baselines and other information necessary to manage the project. As I told you, it has 18 to 19 subcomponents. It has all the subsidiary plans, and it also has some of the baselines as well. Progressive elaboration, as discussed in the develop project charter process, this project management plan is progressively elaborated. What do I mean by that is, the plan is continuously developed, refined, revisited, and updated throughout the project life. So, and I'm assuming like, lot of projects are actually running on progressive elaboration technique, where you do something, you create something, you have, let's say, half information, you will develop a prototype. You will show it to the customer will come back to you, the customer will give you some information, you will go back, work on that information, create a second version of that product, show it back. So again, it will be continuously developed, refined, revisited. It's all about the project management plan. Next, let's see, it's about what are the different tools and techniques for this process. So first of all, in the input section, we have the project charter. Then we have outputs from other processes, EEF and OPA. So when I say project charter, we all know what project charter is. It's a high level document developed, approved by the sponsor, which is officially stating that the project manager is assigned. You can go ahead and start working. So whenever you want to start something, how you will do the things, you need to know all the high level information. Then only you will probably try to do, go into much more detail. So for that high level information is actually coming from this project charter. Then when it says output from other processes, as I told you, this project management plan, it's made up of 18 to 19 components. So 18 to 19 components in PMBOK, they have specifically mentioned it's 18, but if you count it, it actually comes out to be 19 components. So, it's made up of 18 to 19 components. But where are those 18 to 19 components created? They are actually developed somewhere in one of the 49 processes, right? So when they're created, when they're created in those other processes, they will actually go back and become an input to this process. So again, it works both ways. The child always comes from the parent. So similarly, all the 18 to 19 components are coming from this project management plan. And again, keep one more thing in mind. This process is something which you do multiple times. So like for example, if I know scope information, okay, I'll first create the scope management plan, which will become part of the project management plan. When I know about the schedule management plan, I will create the schedule management, and this process will be again done, because now I'm updating the project management plan with the schedule information as well. Okay. Let's see the tools. So tools, we have the expert judgment. In data gathering, we have brainstorming, checklist, focus group, interviews. Similarly, on interpersonal and team skills, we have conflict management, facilitation, meeting management, and the meetings. Output, we will have the project management plan. So to understand the inputs, again, first we understood why we have the project charter, why we have, we need a starting point, right? And that starting point comes with the high level information. That high level information is coming from the project charter. As already explained, output from other processes. So all of those 18, 19 subcomponents which are created somewhere in the process will actually become an input here. EEF and OPA, these are the two common ones which, as I told you, you will see these two inputs like almost like in more than 90% of the processes. These are common inputs. Again, EEF, something which is, I would say, is something which could be internal or external, like more like, your organization culture. The example which I gave you, I used to come at 9 o'clock, I used to come in the afternoon. That was the EEF. OPA, you can talk about the the plans, the processes, all that which is very specific to that organization, like your lessons learned. That's your OPA. So for tools and techniques, we have the expert judgment. You always need an expert who can help you out to create the project management plan. So an expert can come and say, okay, these are the contents of project management plan. This is how you should write. So you can use help of an expert who can, guide you to write a project management plan. So expert judgment, another common tool which you will see a lot. Okay. On the data gathering, we have the brainstorming, the same example which I explained in the develop project charter process. Okay, team, let's go. Let's hurdle around and talk about what we really need. So again, you can go ahead and brainstorming. You can do brainstorming. On the focus group side, focus group little more structured. Again, go back and focusing on one particular part of the project, one particular feature of that project. A facilitator will take care of it. Similarly, on the interviews, talk one-on-one with people. Try to gather as much information as possible. Checklist. This is a new one. It's some organizations use a standard checklist popular in the industry, and some develop it specific for their projects or organization. So when I say checklist, Checklist is something, there are some industry specifics which are very, very popular. Like, they have already defined checklist which you just need to go and just start following it. Okay. But sometimes there are some checklists which are very specific to the organizations as well. So you use that. It's one of the data gathering technique. For interpersonal team skills, we have the conflict management, the facilitation and meeting management. As already discussed, conflict management we'll be discussing in detail in the resource management. But again, two people are having a conflict, how to resolve that? That's the basic principle of conflict management. There are different techniques, very important topic, we'll go over that. Facilitation, more like a kind of a workshop where you gather so many people, like different teams, and try to see what are the relationship between them. Then we have the meeting management. Again, developing the agenda, making sure the team is sticking to the topic. All those things would be part of meeting management. And of course, the meetings, which is one of the another common tool where you'll make sure that you are gathering all the information which is required. Okay, when we did the develop project charter process, we had only two outputs, which was your project charter and the assumption log. But this is not the case with develop project management plan, the second process. We have only one output, which is the project management plan, which is a formal approved document that defines how the project is managed, executed, and controlled. So basically, this is all about how you will manage it, how you will execute, how you will control, and how you will even close. All those are actually part of the project management plan. Okay. It's always formal, written. You want to make sure that project management plan is always formal and written. It's a single plan comprised of many components. You can see these are the 18 plans which are actually described here, and there's one more which is not given, and this is actually the screenshot from the PMP 6, and this is something which is not given, like the 19th component. But if you go back to the it's something related to the management. I exactly don't remember. I think yes, it's management reviews. It's management reviews, which is like, you want to make sure what are the preventive actions, what are the corrective actions, and all those things are actually the management review, and take a decision whether you should move ahead or not. Okay, this is the difference between the project documents and the project management plan. If you go to the third tab of your ITTO sheet, which you downloaded from the website, www.eduhubspot.com, you will see that this same image is actually on that third tab. And why I've specifically put that image is because of the reason of the importance. A lot of people get confused that which will fall under the category of project management plan and which will fall under the category of project documents. So this is where we are. It's approved by PM, sponsor, and the resource manager. So basically, multiple stakeholders are involved in this, and you need everybody's approval for that. It will guide how the project will be conducted. Let's do a quick revision. So what all things we learned in this process is, first, focus your efforts on understanding the output, the project management plan. Make sure when you go back and read the PMBOK, read all the bullet points, whatever is mentioned in the project management plan. Some of the examples you can see, like, which of the following is part of project management plan, or which of the following is not part of project management plan. So you can see questions like these. Know that the project management plan is the overall plan, not just the project schedule. Just don't be like my manager who wanted a project schedule and who used the word project management plan. You don't want to be like that. Know that the 18 components and in which process they are created. That's important. Like where all of those 18, 19 components are created or discussed. That's important. Know that the project management plan continues to be developed iteratively until the project is closed. Again, you come back to this document again and again. So this is something which you make sure that it is continuously developed.